Welcome back to another week of the mentorship. We are now on week 5. We're going to be sticking with the PD arrays and just kind of going into the how they work and how they're going to control price so you could kind of understand what the market is trying to do, and then we could get an idea of our bias. So that's going to be the biggest thing we're focusing on right now is the bias and how to use those PD arrays to get us to our bias. It'll make sense when we dive into it. So let's dive into it. If you haven't already, again, make sure you watch the previous weeks because they are going in order. And I built this in a way that I'm teaching myself, or not teaching myself, but reminding myself. This is what I wish I went along the way to make sure I didn't waste time. And this layout that I put in these weeks is ultimately what I believe would have helped me just get into it, start understanding, and putting in good practice. So that is why we built this mentorship. So week 5, let's get into it. So how do PD arrays control price? First, price is always moving somewhere. It never stays flatlined, right? Any chart you look at, there may be like a little section of where it looks like it's flatlined, but if you zoom in, it's really just going back and forth, right? So price is always moving. It's not just straight across, right? So the higher time frames, and I'm talking about daily, weekly, even monthly, you want to stick with really high time frames because that is going to help us have a stronger magnet for that price. Now, if you go to the lower time frames, there's still a magnet in those areas, but they're not as strong as the daily and monthly and weekly. So we want to only focus on higher time frames to get our directional bias. And that's when we're going to start anticipating price to reach these areas. Now, on the day to day, it may seem like it's dropping in price or it's running really fast. But we know price needs to move to get here. It cannot just go straight up, right? So we can anticipate price to get there, but it's not going to get there in a straight line. And that is when lower time frame PD arrays help us get to that higher time frame. I'll break it down in the chart after we go through this slide real quick. So your homework is going to be doing what I'm about to show you in the charts in past data. And you're going to start to see how it's working over and over again. You'll start to see, okay, this pair, when it does this, it respects it mostly. But on this pair, it respects this, so everything's going to be different, but the general topics are going to apply to all charts. So let's get into the charts. It was a quick slide this week. I think this is where I wanted to break it down. So first off, you could see, although price chops around, it's moving somewhere, right? It's not just going straight down to here. It needs to fill orders back and forth and slowly work its way, or quickly sometimes, to the ultimate goal and then back up the other way. So what we're going to focus on is this part into this part. So we're on the weekly time frame, right? I just hope the back play lets me go back this far. So weekly, we have this and this fair value gap. Now it did get filled in a little bit, so we could close it off to this wick if you would just want to really touch it up. And if we drag this across, so this is our weekly. I don't have a weekly save, so just put weekly fair value gap. Okay. So this zone, right? So now, say we're here in time. Replay somewhere right here. So we know this objective, we didn't break through this low, right? We pushed up, cleared this out. We think we could at least go up to here. We may not be in a full uptrend where we break through here, but we could get a pullback into this range and then maybe continue down past this area. Again, we don't know. We're just trying to create a story, right? So looking on the chart, this catches my eye as a bias for price to reach. And now in the daily range, you could see price took out both sides here. So for me, I need to wait for it to continue somewhere. Are we going to go back low? Are we going to go up higher? So just wait. Okay. On a lower time frame, I could see price wants to go up. So now we have that bearish PD array for the weekly, right? So we think price is going to pull back into this. So on the lower time frames, we're going to be looking for bullish PD arrays to get us to this higher time frame. I just saw I couldn't spell weekly right. So we're going to use bullish PD arrays to get us to this bearish PD array on the higher time frame. So as we go down in price or in time, you can start to see these bullish PD arrays playing out to get us up there, right? So there, pushed us up. Now we have another one right here. So we're expecting either this fair value gap or even this order block right here to keep us going higher. So let's see what happens. Price really never came back down into it. It just kept going off in a tear. We got this area right here if it does end up pulling back. Or we just respect this down close candle. Order block, propulsion block. And again, our target's way up here. So you can see how price is just really has a mission. And that's because we know it's coming up here. Okay. Boom. Respected. We could keep this this zone right here. This fair value gap. Okay. Now it didn't break this high, so we could use this fair value gap, but my interest is here, so I don't think I would enter here. But just for the sake of collecting data, you need to do everything. And if it didn't work, you know why, right? We already have that story that I would want to wait for this to get broken to continue higher. Even though we know and want price to come up here, it could pull back into these areas that were not tapped and easily then continue back up. So again, don't like that, but for example, let's carry on. Okay, so this may be respected. We took liquidity out. We're in this order block. This zone may be respected, but again, we have this down here, so we won't be surprised if price does come back down to here. Okay. I'm going to mark this up. So we respected this, went back above. We got that or this order block right here, right? Okay. So short term, we had a little downtrend, but again, we have to be on that overall picture and realize price was on a mission. Do not be surprised if we need to do that pullback, because this right here is what we're in on the higher time frame, right? So that is okay for our bullish trend. We kind of respected this area, took more liquidity on all these lows, and going back up. Okay. Wasn't ready yet. Went up into this fair value gap, kind of made a double top right here. So there's going to be a lot of liquidity that price will want to connect or collect. So we'll put that up there. Okay. And again, not surprised if price runs down to here. And if you were a day trader, you'd be on a lower time frame and you can make plays on these moves. But just for this example, I don't know if the back testing will let me go back on the minutes. So we're just sticking on the 4 hour for now. So where price is, it's consolidating in this area still. Did not take this liquidity. It did take these right here, so it may continue now, but if it pokes below this, it's all right. All right. Still not sold, but because we have this double top, there's a lot of stop losses up here, and I can see price wanting to go above there now, so roll out these fair value gaps. And it got it. Okay. Again, our goal is still up here. Got that fair value gap there. Price is finally breaking out above this. It's going to do a little pullback, so let's look. Where's price going to be? Maybe it's just going into this little area. So far, that's what it is doing, but it could ultimately come down into this area, which it did tap a little bit. So let's see what happens now. Got that fair value gap there. And now we're back off to the races. So after price, collected a lot of orders on both sides, you could see, look, went above this high, then back down below this high. Went below all these lows, went above all these highs, right? Created this, then went back down below, got some orders below these lows, and then back up above this and this. So price will need to work both sides, even though ultimately that's our goal, right? So fair value gap here, tapped it a little bit, had another one there, went back in, or you could say it touched this order block. Price is on a mission, almost there. We got that fair value gap touched a little bit. Okay, we're in this order block now. Broke above, back into this, create a new order block, more fair value gaps. Okay, so we're close to here. Price was on a big run. So we are not surprised if price needs to come back to these open areas before continuing to our goal, right? So you always need to be honest with yourself at where you're at in the story, so you don't get caught off guard and you're ready for where price would go, and you don't see this and then ultimately think, oh, we're in a downtrend, let me start taking sales, only for price to stop, pivot, and go back towards our main goal. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about magnetic price zones. This has been pulling price up since down here, but again, it can't just go straight up. It needs to play both sides all the way up there. And that's what messed me up a lot when I was learning to trade, was I see this and I'm like, oh, there's no way it's going back up. Now look at all these big black candles right here going down. No, we're in a downtrend, and then I would get taken out on stuff like this because price would just go against me. And then now I'm here and I'm like, oh, took liquidity, we're in a downtrend. I would probably get in on some sales and lose again because we know we're not at that higher time frame yet. But back then, I was blindsided by lower time frames and got stuck on the wrong side of the market a lot of the time. Okay, so price is down here. Again, we are not surprised if it comes to either of these. Zoom in. Okay. All right. Took a little bit of liquidity. Ultimately, stayed in that order block if you wanted to hold that one. But this was the newer one. So took a little bit of liquidity. Again, if I was swinging, stop would be either under here or under here. But we're almost to our target, so probably would not be a good risk to reward. Okay. Still going up. Fair value gap, tapped in, left the order block. A lot of these little wicks, tapped that order block again. And now we broke this high, which was almost relative equals. That one did take it, but still going up, right? And again, let me draw our new areas. We still have this. Wouldn't be surprised. We have this one right here. We'll see if it sticks there or if it goes down lower. Goes down lower. We also got that fair value gap and a little baby one there. So again, would not be surprised. Okay. We want to see it break above this now. All right. New point of interest here. We have these order blocks, but because the way it wicked, I don't really like that as an area. We're going to stick with this, and we could drag this out. Okay. And boom, we touched it. So now if we go back to the weekly, we had that bias. Again, we're using this as an example, so I didn't predict this, right? But this is what I'm looking for, these higher time frame, preferably weekly, even monthly if there's a really good monthly level. So let's check the monthly real quick. We do have this fair value gap on the monthly. So let's play it. Let's play it for a little bit. See if we do get up to that monthly one. Again, wouldn't be surprised if it came down here. And we still have this down here. And the last like low is down here. So we're still bullish until we get below here. Now it might be too late. You could have taken a lot of losses. But we're not just buying from these zones, right? Like we want price to show that it's shifting at these zones, not just put an order and write it back up, right? That's not how we do this. So now that it's shifting, then we could start looking for some bullish areas to get us back to that bearish. Okay. I'm just trying to speed up time, but you know what I would be doing, right? So marking all these. We have that low, that order block. So marking all these, watching price. We have this fair value gap now. We still got this one. Price broke above. Now we have these. We have this. Price turned around. Wanted to collect some liquidity below here. We do have these equal lows, so we have to kind of watch out for something like this. Price may want to poke back below these, so let's carry on. Still have this down here, but I think we're good. We're not going to come back here. This is what I was really worried about. When you see these type of areas and price goes the opposite way from them, it could just be a false run before it goes back below and then does the real run. I honestly don't remember if it ever makes it back up to here, so this will be a good example to see if Let me just go to the daily and speed it up. There you go. Went into that monthly zone. Does it respect that monthly zone? Nope. We're on a tear higher. So that's magnetic price. Do this, but also do what we did in the past weeks. So I didn't want to redo it all, but we would be doing these zones, right? So now we have this leg, and we want price to really respect that 50% or even just a little bit below 50% and carry up. We broke. We would shift to this. And this, again, we want to respect 50% or around that area and then continue up, which it did. So, and then when you go to the lower time frames, you'll have different zones you're working with. So you would have this zone, this zone, this zone, and you would mark those ranges off so you always know where you're at with price and where price could potentially go. But then you still have your higher time frame magnet. That's what I'm really trying to stress here is you want a higher time frame PD array, magnetic zone, whatever you want to call them, for price as your bias. And then you start going down into lower time frames to see your bias play out and start shifting. So you're not getting lost in this as a downtrend, right? This is a pullback and you're aware this is going to be a pullback into potentially these zones until it shifts again, and then we're back resuming for buys. So you need to get in the habit of knowing where price is and talk to yourself, tell yourself that story over and over again, and you will be more comfortable with navigating price, and you will have less surprises. Now, sometimes some high impact news will surprise you, which it shouldn't, that it wicks both sides because it's done that many times. But sometimes it doesn't. And so you just need to know the potentials of what's happening, because trading is all about probabilities and potential, and you want to find that strongest potential move so you're able to be on the higher winning side. So when you do take the trades, your chances of winning versus losing are better, ultimately leaving you with profit. So I hope this has helped you out. Do what I just did on whatever pair you want to trade, whether it's the futures markets or Forex. Now, the reason why I use Forex for most of my examples is because the markets are a little more choppy and they go back and forth. So it helps get more examples quicker, where indexes overall in the long run, they are moving up. They're always bullish for the most part, even with big retracements. So just pick out one pair or one index and mark it out like this. Go back as far as time will allow you and get comfortable with knowing higher magnet price. Price will get there. That's my bias, but it will not go in a straight line. So we need to then go into the 1 hour and start anticipating where price is reversing for a short time before it resumes back up to our main price. So get in the charts, do your homework, and we'll see you in the next week where we start to go deeper into understanding the markets. So hope you all have a good one. If you are actively trading, be patient, do the best you can, and tell yourself a story that you could buy into and stick to it. If you're not trading, do some paper trading, or if you are trying to switch, we do work with Apex Trader. If you do want to start a funded account or anything like that, we do work with Apex Trader Funding, and link in the description. The percentage off changes from 50 to 80 to 90. Right now, we are in 90% off your first month, but if you click that link, it's guaranteed to give you whatever the best discount is at that time. So hope you all have a good one. We'll see you in the next one. If you haven't already, subscribe, click that thumbs up, and peace.